something's not right. There we go. Hello and welcome to the start of this big journey through the entire classic era of Doctor Who. And what better to start off than with the box set called The Beginning, which has the first story, An Unearthly Child. This story was aired between the 23rd and the 14th of November, consisted of 4 episodes, and it was in 1963. So, before I tell you what the story is all about, and basically spoil the whole thing if you haven't watched it, I will tell you what can be found on this DVD in extra content, basically. So, we have a commentary track, where we have William Russell, Carol Ann Ford, Verity Lambert and Urs Hussein basically making a commentary for all of the episodes. So Verity Lambert was the producer, Urs Hussein was the director, then we have William Russell who was Ian Chesterton, and then we have Carol Ann Ford who played Susan. After that we have an unedited 35-minute recording of the entire studio session from September 1963. So the thing is, when they were going to film the first episode, so much things went wrong, so they had to reshoot it altogether. But the so-called pilot, you didn't do pilots back then, but the pilot, as you can call it, the unaired pilot, is found on this DVD. And the last scene they made twice, which means that, both of those versions are on this one. Or you can watch it in an edited 25-minute version when you select play all. Then we have a theme music video, so it's basically a full-length video of the theme, and the music video sort of consists of what the intro looked like back then. Then there are some things that are always present on this discs, and that is a photo gallery, which is basically a photo gallery. They show pictures for about 4 to 6 minutes from the story, the making of the story. And we have the production subtitles, which if you watch them they tell you information. I've watched all of them, but I don't recommend doing it if you really aren't that nerdy and really want to know, because it's not that easy to read sometimes, because they change quite quickly. Yeah, so that is what is found on this one, as well as probably some PDFs. I'm gonna check. There's always a leaflet inside, so I'm just gonna check if there is. No, not on this one, maybe. Well, sometimes there are PDF files like manuscripts or Radio Times TV guide that tells you about the episodes as well. Yeah. So that's it in terms of extras, and now I'm gonna tell you the whole story of An Unearthly Child. So if you don't wanna watch that, I'm gonna, there's are times down in the description where you can just jump forward to my, basically my opinion of it. But maybe you don't wanna watch that either. Yeah, whatever. So, the story starts with a policeman passing a junkyard with the sign saying, or basically the door saying, "I am Foreman," and 76 Todders Lane. And inside the junkyard there are a lot of junk, as well as a police box humming. Then we go to Coal Hill School, and it's the end of school day, where the teacher Ian Chesterton, played by William Russell, and Barbara Wright, played by Jacqueline Hill, who are discussing their student Susan Foreman, played by Carol Ann Ford. And that basically her schoolwork is a bit odd and she's a bit strange. So Barbara was going to go home to her grandfather and talk to him about taking interest in her schoolwork. Unfortunately, when she arrives at 76 Todder's Lane, she realizes it's a junkyard. So, it was kind of hard meeting Susan's grandfather. They talk to Susan and lend her a book about the French Revolution, where Susan looks in the book when Ian and Barbara has left and says something like, "That's not right." So she maybe knows something about history that isn't right in the history books. Well, Ian and Barbara decides to follow her home, and while sitting in the car they discuss more of her odd behavior, like, for example, that she doesn't know how many shillings are in a pound and says, "Aren't you on the decimal system yet?" And, that she sort of comments about all lessons with Ian being too easy. Yeah. Eventually they see Susan enter the junkyard and they follow her in, but instead of meeting Susan, they meet an old man going to the police box. Suddenly Susan opens the door and they force the way in, and, the old man, as you maybe have guessed, is the Doctor, played by William Hartnell. They go inside and, they are in the TARDIS for the first time, or as it's actually called, Time and Relative Dimension in Space, but the shortening TARDIS was actually made up by Susan. So they are amazed by the size, but the Doctor won't let them go because he thinks that they will tell other people about it, so he decides to dematerialize, and they end up in the year 100,000 BC, and before the episode ends, you see shadow of someone watching the police box. Episode 2, The Cave of Skulls. So, back when they did these episodes, every episode had an individual title. So, An Unearthly Child was the first episode's name, and the second episode was called The Cave of Skulls. So it starts with the same image as last time with the caveman watching, and then we cut to a cave with lots of cavemen trying to make fire. In the TARDIS, the travel has stopped, and, Ian don't believe that time travel exists, so they decide to exit the TARDIS to find out the truth and realize they're somewhere else. The Doctor and Susan, though, comments that the TARDIS hasn't changed shape, because apparently it's supposed to blend in with its surroundings, but it didn't and stayed a police box. So, that's why when it became stuck like a police box. Not why, but when, basically. Yeah, the Doctor goes to analyze some sand to find out where they are, or maybe when they are, very funny. And, he gets kidnapped while doing that by a caveman, but to save himself, the Doctor tells the caveman that he can help them to make fire. Unfortunately, then Ian, Barbara and Susan enters because they followed the Doctor to basically rescue him, and instead they are captured and put in the Cave of Skulls. Fun fact, or maybe not so fun fact, is that in the Cave of Skulls there are a lot of skulls, and if I'm right, some of the skulls, they didn't have time to make all the skulls, so some of them are actual skulls from dead humans. Pretty creepy. Okay, episode 3, The Forest of Fear. Trapped in the cave, the TARDIS crew tries to get loose from, basically their bounds, and an old cave woman enters to help the crew flee because she doesn't want them to learn, to teach them and basically the cavemen to learn how to make fire. So the TARDIS crew flees through the woods, but unfortunately they are followed by a caveman and a cave woman, but basically we can say that the caveman's name is Saw, and on their way escaping, Saw is attacked by an animal, so they decide to turn around and help him. Meanwhile, back at the cave, the old woman is murdered by Carl, another caveman who are important to this story. And Carl basically blames Saw for killing the old woman and letting the TARDIS crew escape. The TARDIS crew is led to the TARDIS since they helped Saw. Saw helps them to get back, but unfortunately all other K-men are already there in the leadership of Carl. Lastly, episode 4, The Firemaker. So, they are taken back to the Cave of Skulls once again, and the Doctor, well, not... First they are in the normal cave before being put in the Cave of Skulls. So, back in the normal cave, the Doctor proves that Carl did not kill... that Carl killed the old woman, and Saw did not kill her, since there was no blood on Saw's knife, but there was on Carl's. But Saw does still not trust the TARDIS crew, so he puts them back in the Cave of Skulls, and says he won't let them out till they teach him how to make fire. During the lesson, or what you maybe should call it, Carl enters the cave, and in a fight to the death, Carl is killed by Saw. So Saw exits the Cave of Skulls since he has now learned how to make fire. But Saw won't let them go because he feels like he still needs them. So to get away, the TARDIS crew tricks the tribe with fire and bones and, well, basically manage to get the cavemen believe that they are dead. They flee through the woods once again and manage to escape to the TARDIS and dematerialize, landing on a new place. The crew leaves the TARDIS to explore. But they leave the TARDIS a little bit too early before realizing that the TARDIS console would have warned them about the high levels of radiation, so they don't know about that when they exit the TARDIS and the credits of episode 4 starts rolling. So, that's basically the story of An Unearthly Child, or 4 episodes. So, what do I think of the story? Well, I decided I'm not gonna set some numbers because, yeah, I just don't feel like trying to work out how I will sort of decide how many points it will get out of 10 or 5 or whatever. So I'm instead just gonna say what I think. I think that episode 1 is the best, and episode 2 to 4 are not that great. Because, well, the caveman story is a little bit dull. I mean, it's not bad, but it's a little bit dull sometimes. And, well, the pace was a lot faster in episode 1 instead of the pacing in episode 2, 3 and 4, which are quite a bit slower, and the story doesn't move forward as much. It doesn't happen, lots of stuff doesn't happen, it's just a lot of dialogue. It's not a bad story, but, well, episode 1 is a lot better than 2, 3 and 4, in my opinion. So, that's it for An Unearthly Child, and, well, not in my case tomorrow, because today it's the 4th of January for me, but it's at earliest the 10th of January for you. And in that case, it means tomorrow there will be an upload of The Daleks, the 7-part story. That is next. So, that's it. I'll see you, well, sort of tomorrow. Adios.